What's up, guys? My name is Lincoln, and I'm the owner and operator of Ario Tech Services. And thank you for tuning in to my channel again. And today's newsletter topic is going to be keep your mouth shut. There's a reason why that I choose this topic because this is something that many guys always struggle with, which I'm going to explain in details to why many men struggle to keep their mouth shut. So this topic came from a viewer who he states that he is in a relationship, and for some reason every time he goes and he hangs out or he has his so-called guys night out and he starts talking about things, and for some reason his girlfriend always finds out what they were talking about. So he's reaching out for my information or for my advice, trying to figure out why does this happen and what can he do to prevent it. So let's dive right on into his story. So basically, according to your statement, from for me, what it really sounds like is when you are having your guys' night out, which is fine, but it seems like that you are talking about things that goes on in your relationship, such as bedroom activities, is she sexually active, her habits, her flaws, his downfalls, and somehow it's getting back to her. One thing you got to realize, and this is basically from my experience in what I have actually seen out there, sometimes when you are having a guy's night out, you got to remember there's many different reasons why the information is going to get back to your girl. Um, Sometimes it could be like one of your so-called buddies is in an unhappy relationship and he's trying to sabotage your relationship by trying to stir things up, or maybe he thinks your girlfriend is cute and he wants to get a shot with her, and he's trying to soil your credibility and your reputation as much as he can, to the point where um she blows you off and decides that she no longer wants to be with you, or you get into a big argument and you guys break apart, and then they would either have their chance or they would be satisfied that you will actually be back on your level. So that's definitely a bad choice to make. um I'm gonna explain to you why. If you are having a guys night out, okay, that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that, but you keep the conversation relevant. There's so much things to talk about. Talk about the football game, talk about work, talk about something that is not nothing to do with your personal relationships. Because like just what I was explaining earlier. um I'm gonna give you a few examples. Just like for me, I'm always meeting women all the time. I meet all different kinds of women in many different careers. It's just a wonderful thing. I just love it. And I wind up engaging in a lot of conversation with them, and I learn a lot from them. I even have a lot of girls that are actually my friends as well too. And I learn so much from them. And one thing from my experience, how they wind up respecting me, is by keeping your mouth shut. There's a few reasons why. Because for men, when you are sleeping with multiple women, for example, this is just an example. When you are sleeping with multiple women or flirting with multiple women, you're known as a stud. You get high five from all your friends. If you can bed that girl and bang whatever it is that you do, you're known as a stud. So it's kind of like an ego booster, because for us men, we survive off of our ego. So it's a major ego booster for us. But on the reverse side, you gotta on the woman's side, if a woman sleeps with two or three guys, or she sleeps with a guy on the first or second date, she's gonna be labeled as a slut. So when you start talking about her and talking about the bedroom activities, or if she's a freak or whatever it is, it's gonna set off those slut alarms in her mind, and she's not gonna trust you after that. Um, that's the reason why society has kind of like conditioned women to be the way that they are at this time. Um, but this is how that I get my respect from women. I'm gonna give you a perfect example. I'm an independent contractor. I have security contracts out there. And one night, I remember this one night, um, I was doing my patrols. This was like about 2, 3 o'clock in the morning, and I patrolled the parking lot in the basement stairwell area. And when I went to access the stairwell from the basement parking lot, I found this young Asian girl who was naked, passed out, like literally sprawled out on the steps, like literally passed out. So I looked around and I see no clothing inside. I see pretty much like nothing. So basically, like, I've been in public safety for a very long time. The first thing that came to my mind was this girl is possibly drugged or possibly drunk into the point where she passed out and some dude raped her, took her clothes so it doesn't be used as evidence, and took off because there's like nobody around, there's no clothing around and stuff like that. So the first thing I did is the first concern for me was protecting this girl's reputation. That was my first priority, and to making sure she's not, because she's already not in danger already. There's nobody around there. So I had my jacket, and I didn't give a fuck about the jacket. I got my jacket. I gave it. I woke her up. I gave it to her. I told her, you know what, take this, cover up with this, da 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 da. So, and the girl didn't speak too good English, so I tried calling a couple of the girls in the building that I knew that I had their number. I tried calling and text them. And just keep in mind, this was like 3, 4 o'clock in the morning. They were all asleep, so all that has completely failed. The reason why I called them is maybe they can come down and translate and figure out what was going on and possibly bring her a set of clothes as well too. Um, so I was stuck with this last option was I called the EMS, the paramedic service, and because that's usually like the protocols anytime there is a rape victim. It's usually the protocol. You call the paramedics wrap her up in a sheet, take her to the hospital, and then they can conduct the investigation from there after they have the rape test kit. So that's exactly what I did. The paramedics came, it was like about maybe 5 o'clock in the morning. Maintenance crew were coming in, people were getting up for work. The paramedics couldn't find me, and somehow they dispatched the police department as well too, which is protocol for them, which is totally understandable. And they were trying to find me, but keep in mind, I wasn't in a common area. I was down in a basement stairwell area. So they asked one of the other guards. I guess they kind of like mistaken. They thought another guard that was working another site. So I'm guessing that they were kind of like they thought it was me. So they came down, and as soon as that other guard, or as soon as they found out, okay, there was a girl that was found naked in a stairwell, it's like all these guys, like all these workers and these bystanders, just started coming out of nowhere, trying to be nosy to see what was going on in there, just to see the nude girl. And I was kind of upset at that. I was kind of disappointed because I was all about protecting this girl's reputation, protecting her integrity. Um, so the paramedics kind of checked her out. They got her on the stretcher, took her to the hospital, did the thing. Now, however, I had to go and do my report. So when I was doing my report, one thing that I learned from being on the police force and being trained for all that, anytime when you do come across a sexual assault case or anything like that, we are always told to put it down as a protected identity. Then when the investigator comes in or the detective, then they'll figure out all the information because the whole purpose is to protect this girl's reputation. So that's what I did. I put it in the logbook, protected identity, nude girl in the stairwell, da 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 da. But however, I had to call the manager of the building and let him know exactly what happened, who the person was, because that's my job that was on the line. But however, if anybody else would have found out, it would have I already would know who actually told, because I don't think the girl is gonna that quick is gonna come out and say, "Oh yeah, I was found naked in the stairwell. I got all drunk and passed out in the stairwell." So, but the very next day, I'm having the guards coming up to me, and different people are coming up to me, and they're trying to probe me for information. Oh, who was that girl? What apartment did she live in? Da 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 da. And me, I stood my grounds and I told them this confidential information. We're not going to discuss this conversation. And I literally stood my ground. Eventually, after a few days of them trying to probe me, it actually stopped. Um, I'm actually gonna do another video on that later on about like workplace gossip and stuff like that. So that would be classified under workplace gossip, where it's like things that should be kept internally within the staff members always finds its way to get exposed to the public when the public should not know nothing about that. Whatever happened inside there, nobody should have known. But it's kind of like sometimes, a lot of times, the guards really ain't got nothing else going on in their life, and this is kind of like the best thing that they can come up with to talk about. But like I said, it's a totally different topic that I'm talking about. Um, but those of you who are wondering if the girl was raped or not, okay, as the investigation continued, it turned out the girl was not raped, the girl was not sexually assaulted, thankfully. But what happened was, I guess she was all intoxicated that night. I found out later on. She was so drunk and she woke up. She tried to find a bathroom, and the way the building was constructed and designed, where once you walk out of your unit and you go into the stairwell, you're locked. You're locked outside. It's an access control system. So that's what she did. She walked out of her unit. She started taking off her clothes on the way going to the stairwell and got locked into the stairwell. So that's how I was able to find her. And there was evidence to support that as well too. There was a trail of clothing leading from her apartment all the way to the stairwell. So it's kind of a good thing. I'm very glad that it didn't turn out to be where she was sexually assaulted or raped. Hopefully she did learn a good lesson from that. So this is basically what I'm talking about, why you should keep your mouth shut. And it turned out later on, after a few days later, when she was all sober up out of the hospital, she thanked me for it. She had a boyfriend. The boyfriend thanked me for it. The sister that she was staying with, everybody all thanked me for it. Um, there's a few reasons why it's very important to shut your mouth with women. There's people that I consult, and like for example, there's women that I talk to who are married and they're happy, they have a family, they're in fulfilled relationships, but there's just that sexual spark that is missing. There's just something that their boyfriend that is or their husband is not doing to satisfy the woman sexually. So she's gonna go and wander out and find somebody else that can bring that sexual gratification to her. So if she winds up finding a guy that she can have that sexual satisfaction with him, and they can have that that spark together, she wants to make sure that that guy is going to keep his mouth shut. Because keep in mind, she's married. She doesn't want the boyfriend finding out. So she is having. I mean, it's considered an affair, but it's not me. I can't tell. I'm not going to tell other people how to live their lives, and I'm not going to tell them it's wrong of them to do that. No, that's just not me. If they want to do that, if that's what makes them happy, by all means, hey, whatever's. I don't live by society's expectations. So, um, anyway, she wants to make sure that you're going to keep your mouth shut for the guy that she's having an affair with, because she doesn't want him to tell somebody else. And then that person is going to go around and tell somebody else. And eventually, the information is going to go back to her husband. And next thing you know, her whole marriage, her whole relationship, and everything is going to be fucking destroyed. It's just going to create like a domino effect. So that's another reason why it's very important to keep your mouth shut. Another very important one from my experience and from what I've seen and experienced as well too is it can have an economic effect. There's some women that I talk to, and one thing I notice is there's a lot of workplace romance that has been going on nowadays. A lot of it because we're spending most of our hours in the workplace nowadays. So if a girl likes if I mean sometimes a lot of times um bosses, like male bosses, would hire beautiful women to work in the office because that is their way of getting closer to the female, and possibly, and then that's their excuse of being in contact with the female, with the beautiful woman is. And it may come to that point where they may want to get down her pants eventually, so that's a good start for them. So what do you think is going to happen when the girl doesn't like the boss, but the girl likes the guy in the cubicle, in the next cubicle over, and then they start having an affair. What do you think is going to happen when the boss finds that out? It's not going to be good. I'm going to tell you why. Because if the boss likes the girl and he hired her and he's paying her, and there's some average guy decides to have an attraction for her and that she likes that guy back, and the boss finds out, guess what? The guy in the next cubicle, which that could be you, is going to become a competition. So what do bosses do in when there's competition like that? He's going to find a reason to get rid of you. So it can impact you economically. So if you are having an office romance, keep your fucking mouth shut. Do not tell anybody. That's none of anybody's business. You keep that like very, very like literally take that secret to the fucking grave with you, because it's gonna have, and I've seen it happen before. And on top of that, it can have an economic impact on the girl as well too. Because let's just say that the girl is not giving the boss the time of day, and all of a sudden the boss finds out that she likes somebody else or one of the other office workers in there. Guess what's going to happen? It always goes with this saying, which the saying is actually true: is out of sight, out of mind. So if the boss's ego is going to be damaged because he got rejected by this girl many times, but some other average office worker got the chance to sleep with this girl, he's going to get rid of the girl. That's exactly what it's going to do. So it's going to have an economic impact on her. So that's why I always say keep your fucking mouth shut. Whatever goes on with the girls that you're with, like me, I'm always meeting women all the time. I meet women all the time. I have women that call me up, they check up on me, whatever it is that they do. But I never ever brag about it. I mean, I'm saying it right now, but I'm using it as something relevant for an education purpose. But I'm not going around bragging to all my friends, yeah, this chick came to me, this and that, I did this with this girl. No, it's none of their fucking business. If I'm hanging out with my boys, we're gonna talk about something else, like the surf, the football game, the pandemic, something other than my personal or my sexual lifestyle. So this is basically examples by what can happen if you do open your mouth. And I promise you, trust me, if you practice these and you learn how to keep your mouth shut, women will respect you a lot more. And that's the place that you want to be. So I really hope this message helped. And if you want to hear more videos on dating tips and just things like that, self-development or whatever it is, just keep following me, and I'm going to be posting more and more videos. Thank you for watching, and I will see you all later.